nearest health facility or call 2030.
Asinibusele sinamukele masatla mahle lomhlahlelweni Kusile breakfast show and happy new year. Sisema ukuthi ningene kahle eminyakeni lomusha wa 2023. Nanivuselako ngulungelele Magagula. Sisema ukuthi nibe nempela somvo lenhle nale busisekile. Sanivusela lomhlahlelweni kukhumbuta nje ukuthi ungakhona ukusibhekela na ka YouTube kanjalo ke nasecingweni lakho mangabe une Eswatini TV app. Singangeni kule hlelo lethu lamuhla asasibuke nje nankumbiko losuka eDiko leTempilo. Leliviki kusukela lamhla ka-25 kuya kumhla ka-31 December Diko leTempilo lihlole abantu labangu-195 bahlolela umkhuhlane we-COVID-19 labangu-13 ke batfolakala ukuthi banawo lo mkhuhlane kude-ke labasishile emhlabeni kulelo viki kanti kude-ke labasesibhedlela labelashwako kungumanje nje lapha eveni bantu labanawo lo mkhuhlane bange-22 22 bese kuthi isolo wabhitfuka lo mkhuhlane lasebawutholile bangu-74,034 kanti ke lasebashiye emhlabeni bona bangu-1,422 manye recoveries ke bamfula sebaluleme inombolo letintsha likhomba ukuthi bangu-32 kanti isolo wabhitfuka lo mkhuhlane lasebalulama nje inombolo likhomba ukuthi bangu-72,590 Diko leTempilo ke solo lachubeka nekugomisa sive samaswati sugomela wona lo mkhuhlane njengoba ukhona wona noma inombolo tibonakala kwangathi diphasi kakhulu evela seChina nje inombolo silotabika ukuthi tiyenyuka njalo ngelanga uhulumende ke waseChina sokusesethenyathelo leticatha ukuthi kuvukelwe wona lo mkhuhlane singena nje eminyakeni lomusha siyethemba ukuthi abantu abaningi bangene kahle eminyakeni lomusha labanye bebasemasonfweni labanye bebasetindzaweni lapho bebatijabulisa khona kungasiko lapha even lonke nje kodwa ke emhlabeni wonke jikelele sidandlelela nje video lemfishane ukukhombisa nje ukuthi ingabe umhlaba wonke ungene kanjani eminyakeni wa 2023.
New Zealand was among the first places in the world to ring in the new year, with thousands gathering in Auckland Harbour for the countdown. Just 2 hours later, Australia followed suit with a spectacular fireworks display over Sydney Harbour Bridge. New Year's fireworks made their return to Hong Kong after an absence of 3 years, albeit in modest fashion. The city's government just 2 days ago removed the long-standing pandemic restrictions on public gatherings. There was a similar sense of excitement in Wuhan 3 years to the day from the first reports there of a virus that would later become COVID-19, with some revelers striking a hopeful note for 2023.
我刚刚毕业参加工作1年，我上了半年网课，所以对我的感受就是说可能会有一些就业方面的问题，但是目前来说的话，就是希望未来发展会更好一些。
In Moscow, there was a low-key build-up as Vladimir Putin used his New Year's address to denounce the West's support for Ukraine. Meanwhile, in Kyiv, citizens braved the streets of the Ukrainian capital, even as the city was rocked by explosions throughout the day.
Билеты в цирк сегодня, представление было в час дня. Без 10 началась тревога. Они 3,5 часа сидели у меня в убежище цирка.
In Paris, the Champs-Élysées were thronged with party-goers who watched as the world-famous Arc de Triomphe was lit up by pyrotechnics. London hosted its own celebrations 1 hour later with the Thames lit up on the stroke of midnight, bringing to an end a tumultuous year which saw the United Kingdom change prime ministers twice and welcome a new monarch to the throne.
Sotiboneleke mbukele ukuthi bamhla abaningi emaveni lahlukahlukene kufaka ekhathi yona France, Australia kanye neChina bangene ngesitayela kweminyakeni wa-2023 solo indzaba yokubhomisa tichumane solongelo hamba embili nakungena eminyakeni wa-2023 nakushaya nje 12 emaveni amaningi bekabhomisa wona ama-fireworks lokushona ukuthi sesingenile eminyakeni wa-2023. It's the 2nd of January 2023 sanemukela sibahlete mayithana sibuya sibuya tinza batevu tekala.
Pay your TV license quickly and easily with MTN Momo. Simply dial *007 *3# and select option 8 for TV license. Enter your national ID number as your reference and the amount you wish to pay. Then enter your PIN to confirm your payment. Once your payment has been made, you'll receive a confirmation SMS of your payment. If you're a first-time payer, you get another SMS for your TV license. So legalize your entertainment from the comfort of your home. Pay your TV license the easy and convenient way with MTN Momo.
Everywhere you go, MTN.
I do the most. Watch local TV on the go with the Eswatini TV app for only 20 emalangeni. Come on. Do the most with Eswatini TV app. Download from Google Play Store or App Store. We're good together.
Everywhere you go, MTN.
Asimze sinimukele sakuvusela nawe losanza kuzivulela sitawungena etindzabeni tetfu tehlelo. Ingcwala lencane sayichubekele esigodlweni ebuhleni esifundzeni sakaHhohho. Silingo somthathu sithathu sitawuchubeka nekuhola sive ekugidweni kwalomkhosi lo sawuhlanganisa emalanga lalishumi.
Elangeni lekuqala eminyakeni wa-2023 ngonyama yeMaswati iqhubeke nayo ingcola lencane. Isilo semhlaba sesuke esigodlweni eMpumalanga esifundeni saseLibonjeni sangena esigodlweni ebuhleni esifundeni sakaHhohho. Lokhu-ke kulandzela ukuthi ingonyama igidze emalanga lamathathu esigodlweni eMpumalanga. Lapho khona umsebenzi ube mhle sibili silo sagidza sisingethwe ngemakhosikazi, sisingethwe abantu abenkosi nemhlontshandvunankulu kanjalo-ke nesive lebekade siphume ngetinkani. Seyaphakama umdlonga ebuthweni lengatsha laso sifundza sakaHhohho njengoba lesekubheke ukuthi kwenteke ukuthi ingonyama yelikhiphe libutho lokusho kona ukuthi sekavela ahlete etindukwini emajaha engonyama. Noko kusengakwenteki konke lokho silo sitabe selokhu sichubeka njalo nekhola sive kulomkhosi khona esigodlweni ebuhleni. Lebika kwethu indzabeni ngisandile makhanya esigodlweni ebuhleni esifundeni sakaHhohho.
Maswati yachubeka nekungenela umkhosi wengcwala esigodlweni eLitsitsini lapho khona emabutho ngokuhlukana kwawo aholwa indlovukazi Mhlekazi. Umkhosi wengcwala solo uchubeka ngelisasasa lelisetulu kusukela waqala.
Indlovukazi Mhlekazi esigodlweni eLitsitsini ihole libutho lelithango lembali kanye nalaqobetelako. Indlovu yemhlaba isengethwe ngamakhosikazi esilo kanye nesigodlo kanye nalabanye labakhulu embusweni welive leSwatini. Langeni lokuqala leminyaka wa-2023 sive seMaswati sichubekile nokungenela lo mkhosi ngebuningi baso. EMaswati yakhonile kungena kulo mnyaka nemasiko awo lokuletha lethemba ukuthi titukulwane letitako titawulikhanza lelisiko lemkhosi wengcwala. Lo muhla ingcwala lencane ingene elangeni lelishumi kane loko sekuvele kuletha lethemba kiso sive ukuthi lilanga lelikhulu selijudane. Kanti futhi njengoba imbuko yemhlaba seyisesigodlweni ebuhleni esifundeni sakaHhohho, ingatsha seyivele ilangatelela ukuthi ingwenyama yeMaswati sikenkosi Mswati wesithathu ikhokhe iye kuyawukhawusekwane. Etintabeni kubika Pholile Maziya esigodlweni eLitsitsini.
Lengcusele elive leTaiwan kuleli Jeremy Liang uthi kona kulomnyaka lomusha lamavela amabili atawuchubeka nekubambisana kutentuthuko. Liang bekakhuluma ngesikhathi lehhovisi lengcusele elive leTaiwan kuleli lihalalisa kungena eminyakeni lomusha.
Lihhovisi lencusele live leTaiwan kuleli ngelisonto lihlanganise sive sakulela live lesihlala lapha eveni kuphakamisa umjeka wakulela live nekuhlabela ingoma yesive live leTaiwan kuhalalisa umnyaka lomusha. Leli hhovisi lihalalisa kungena eminyakeni lomusha ngaphansi kwesicubulo lesithi kuthula nempumelelo kwelive leTaiwan nemhlaba wonke. Lengcusele live leTaiwan kuleli Jeremy Liang uthi nakulomnyaka losetulu lamavela amabili atawuchubeka bambisane tinhlangothini letinyenti tentfutfuko.
Later we are joined together and to celebrate the first day of the year. As far as the bilateral relations between Taiwan and Eswatini is concerned, I think since the pandemic, we both country has met a lot of challenges. But with great teamwork, hard working, and great cooperations, we managed to weather the storm. And in this country, I think the our relations with the kingdom has been growing from leaps and bounds.
Ubudlelwano balamavela amabili buqale ngeminyaka wa-1968. Etintsabeni Eswatini TV kubika Samkeliswe Khoza nginasimuva Shongwe eMbabane.
Mkhulu lobeka neminyaka lengama-63 wasesandleni kaHlathi ufeka buhlungu nakakhanywa ngumshana wakhe ngelihwayela lothide nakacetha kumbulala wadingcwabela yena emgedzeni. Lombiko uvunywe lisekela lemchumanisi wamaphoyisa nesive Inspector Nosipho Mnguni.
Mkhulu wasenzaweni yasesandleni kaHlathi kulela laseshiselweni libeka neminyaka lengama-63 ufeka buhlungu nakabulawa ngumshana wakhe ngekumkhunga ngelohwayela wase uyamngcwaba emgedzeni dude nasekhaya. Lisekela lokuxhumanisa amaphoyisa nesive Inspector Nosipho Mnguni usivumile lesigameko.
Shokuthi nje nasiphenya sithole ukuthi umshana wakhe lo neminyaka lengu-26 nguye lo wangena endlini wamngenela endlini ebusuku wafike wamshanga esagila wase kuyamkhama wasuthatha nelihwayela umhlinya ngalo so uyamthatha ke uyomngcwabo ensimini nje ledutane nalakhaya bathi ke nabavuka ekhaya bakhanza mkhulu angasekho bafune ke kubitwe ke nawo amaphoyisa emango asebenzisana nemaphoyisa kufunwe bagcine bacele netinja takhona emaphoyiseni lapho khona ke ugcine satholakele mkhulu ku-Shallow Grave nje madudane nasekhaya. Emaphoyisa kabe sekayaliqhuba ke liphenyo ngoba umshana yena wabe uyabaleka lapho khona ufune wagcina atholiwe utholwe nje ngelanga lesihlanu lapho khona bese kabhace enzaweni yaselutselutse khona la kumathapha. Sikhuluma nje ukhona usetandleni temaphoyisa kodwa ke sisaqhubeka nalo liphenyo ukuthi engabe vele kuyini imbangela yokuthi umfana bekangaze abulale umuntu omdala ngesibhuku lesingaka.
Emaphoyisa akayicela abantu labasha ekakhulu kade ukuthi babugweme ubuqala lobutawuholela ekutheni balahlekelwe likusasa labo ngoba ngibo lekubonakala ukuthi lapho kunebucala khona nemvulo omusha ukhona. Wacela ke nemindeni ukuthi inake ukutiphatha kwabantu ababo ikakhulu kade bantu labasha. Etindzabeni kubeka Kheyani Msibi nginasimuva Shongwe sikaManzini.
Umhlabeleli womculo wetenkolo welive leNingizimu Afrika Dr. Rebecca Malopez ofisele eMaswati umnyaka lomusha nalogcwele eTebusiso. Umhlabeleli ukusho lokhu ngesikhathi yahlabela emcimbini wokuphetha umnyaka emavuso i-crossover event nakudzabuka kusa.
eMaswati lathanza umculo wetenkolo atzele emakhada nemvula lebesolo inenjalo nakudzabuka kusa kwangelisomvo ucala umnyaka lomusha njengoba bachubeke njalo nekujabulela umculo wetenkolo emcimbini wekhalalisa kungena eminyakeni lomusha emavuso lotsiba nemusa simakathe. Lo mcimbi lolungiswe inhlangano ifeziwe communications bohlanganise bosaziwayo kutemculo wenkolo balapha eveni labafaka ekhathi lindadla mini nebalive leNingizimu Afrika labafaka ekhathi Dr. Rebecca Malope lofisele eMaswati umnyaka lomusha logcwele itibusiso.
City 2023 God is with you wherever you are, whatever problems you having. 2023 is your year.
Lindadla mini lophinza bengcenye yalabo labalungise lo mcimbi yena ubeke kanjena.
Sibonga kakhulu uNkulunkulu losihole ukuthi kuze kube kunamuhla njengoba sisho sithi uba nemusa simakathe. Siyabonga nje uNkulunkulu.
eMaswati angenele umcimbi bavakalise kujabula kwabo.
We really do appreciate God for what He's doing in our lives. Lokuthi sikhone kungena to this new year. It's a year that is full of possibilities.
Mina ngijabule kakhulu mina naku sengenile eminyakeni siyambonga uNkulunkulu.
Lokuthi nje labanye bagibela umnyaka etshwaleni mina ngilangifisa athabukhulu kakhulu.
Asijabule kakhulu noma belithulu belithi lufaka libuya ngemandla but ishoba ingapheli emandla sibekile njalo nje sabambelela.
Labanye baculi lababusise sive ngemculo kube nguThina Zungu Sipho Makhabane belive leNingizimu Afrika Duduzo Mathe kanye nagcina amasuku belive laseSwatini kulabanye. Etindzabeni yeSwatini TV kubika Samkeliswe Khoza ngesikhumbuzo Dlamini kaManzini.
Umbishop welibandla lamakatolika kuleli Louis Ponce de Leon uthi balibandla laseSwatini balimele kakhulu ngekundlula emhlabeni kwaloyo longasekho emhlabeni lobekathi yahola libandla emhlabeni jikelele Pope Benedict we-16. Nobishop uthi Pope Benedict bekasibonelo lesihle.
Umholi welibandla lemakatolika kuleli Jose Luis Ponce de Leon uthi kukhulu utetenkolo letikuzuzile ulobeyakatha ngumholi welibandla lemakatolika longasekho emhlabeni Pope Benedict.
We are really mourning and at the same time being grateful to God for his service in the church. We plan to have a service. We are going to announce it most probably tomorrow. For all those who would like to remember him We are planning also to have a book of condolences to those who would like a few words from remember his service, his life given to the church, his life given to our Lord, basically. Considered probably intellectually the best prepared Pope in history. And at the same time, the man who could share all that knowledge in simple words. Interesting enough, a man that with all that knowledge, he never felt that he was above anyone. He's remembered by everyone like a humble man, a man looking for dialogue with other religions, dialogue with other church and Christian denominations, dialogue with culture, with society, values that are so important even today.
Pope Benedict welishumi-nesithupha wahola libandla lemakatolika kusuka ngeminyaka wa-2005 wasuthatha umhlala phansi ngeminyaka wa-2013 kanti ushone ngemigcibelo sekaneminyaka lengemashumi-ayimfica-nesihlanu etinzabeni kubika Fortune Dlangamandla kungalinda Dlamini sikamanzini.
Bazalwane kuhalalisa kungena eminyakeni lomusha ngaphansi kwamabandla etenkolo lahlukene badle isidlo senkosi bethula ubufakazi baphinze batinxusela kulomdzala wetinsuku kusaqala umnyaka lomusha.
Emabandla etenkolo lapha eveni ngikohlukana kwawo ahlanganise bazalwane tinkonzweni tekwephetha umnyaka ngemgcibelo kute kube lisondvo ekseni letepheleketelwe kuniketa uNkulunkulu ludumo kulandzela kutsikabeteka ngemkhuhlane i-COVID-19 lapho khona bebasolo bangakhona kuhlanganyela ngaloluhlobo iminyaka lemibili. Esomveni le-Jesus Calls Worship Center bazalwane badle isidlo senkosi kubophelela budlelwano lobusha naNkulunkulu kanti esomveni le-Rest in Christ Ministries kutse nakushaya insimbi ye-12 kucala wona umnyaka lomusha bevele baguca phansi batibika kulomdzala wetinsuku. Bafundisi bamfula basha kanye nebazalwane lesicocisene nabo babongwe isipho sempilo kuNkulunkulu.
Sisuka tigamleleke leti matima tabo COVID. Sithi nje thank you kuNkulunkulu ngalokho ukuthi bese kulukhona ukuhlangana. But we want to say thank you because the strength of the church ngilokhu sihlangane.
Sine sibadzala phela kwathi nakufika lokho silona wathata lukade akufunakali nje sibonakale singene esondweni. Kodwa ngekuthi lo Jesu lokududela ngekhathi ngathola ukuthi angeke ngakhona mina kulala phansi ngasokuthi ngoba ngisabana ligama.
To us as a church to come together kanje into lenkulu kakhulu because sendlule into letinenge mawuqhamuka emva ko-2020 ko-COVID kutase sita ngala kuba lana nje into lenkulu kakhulu ukuthi kutobonga uNkulunkulu ukuthi babe siyabonga up to this far.
As a young person ukuhlangana sibantu labasha sibuye sihlangane ndzawonye i-fellowship because kuyinto lemqoka because ngedikhathi labo COVID nje bese singasalithola ithuba lethi sihlangane ngalo bese batibhekela le yabhekela le.
Kuyintokoto kakhulu sisikungena eminyakeni lomusha. Basically as sibafundisi kuletha lithemba good new year ukuthi ukhona uNkulunkulu.
Labanye bazalwane babhale phansi tifiso tabo temnyaka letibekwe tandla ngibo bafundisi. Etinzabeni Eswatini TV kubika Samkeliswe Khoza ngasikhumbuzo Dlamini kuMathapha. Umhlabeleli welive laseScotland Mthunzi Nzimande uthi njengoba umkhuhlane iCovid-19 ukhomba kwenca ngolona lithuba lokuthi bahlabeleli nalabalungiselela imicimbi babuyele basebende kulandzela ukuthi kameteka kuvalwe imicimbi yokutijabulisa ngenxa yalo mkhuhlane. Mthunzi beka nanzisa endzabeni yase Exchange eNgwane Park lakujutshwa umnyaka ngemgcibelo ebusuku.
Bathanzi bede kutijabulisa bebajabulile endzaweni yase Exchange eNgwane Park lapho bajube khona umnyaka ngemgcibelo ebusuku lapho bekunemhlabeleli wa7 lase South Africa Mthunzi Nzimande lothi ngemuva kweminyaka lemibili sive singakhona ukutichaza ngenxa yemkhuhlane iCovid-19 nemithetho lecinile lehambisana nalomkhuhlane selithuba lokuthi sive siphume sijabule.
So I feel like isikhathi esiright sokuthi senze yonke into ade sivalelekile ukuyenza. Even business wise abantu baphume ngayo yonke indlela because asiyazi lonto noma izobuya noma ngeke izibuye.
Zamagama lobuketa indzaba telisebenzi exchange uthi kwabo kwakha emathuba emisebenzi emcimbini lenjengalena.
Sina exchange you are looking at pushing in to 2023 to create imisebenzi create a safe and entertainment environment for my patrons, and also ukuthi idolobha lesikole kumanzini sigcizelela ukuthi idolobha lihlala lihlobile.
Lebe bayingxenye yalo mcimbi bathi bajabulile impela.
For the first crossover after COVID, it's been awesome. Everything is so perfect. I've really enjoyed being here. Happy New Year, guys! Happy New Year!
I think this was the best show of the year. Yeah, we really did enjoy. We had a good crossover.
Isho angisho ukuthi siyabonga eMaswatini kusihlonipha nokutosi-supporter.
They did us good. This was ended a happy new year.
Kuchumisa ukuthi chumane ma-fireworks bekungiyona njabulo yokujuba umnyaka. Etindzabeni ngingiyani Msibingi naSimuva Shongwe sisengwane Park.
Bebakadze bangemashumi lamane nesiphohlongo bantfwana labadelwe kusuka nakutsabuka kusa kwangelisonto lekulanga lekucala ngca emnyakeni lomusha wa 2023. Lombiko ucuketse bantfwana labadelwe nakutsabuka kusa kwangelilanga lemnyaka lomusha kuyana kushaya insimbi yesibili entsambama ngalo lilanga lekucala. Indvuna yelitiko letemphilo lizinkosi Petipho bomake nebantfwana labadelwe ngalolu suku esibhedlela sase-RFM Kamanzini.
Indvuna yelitiko letempilo lizinkosi ngesikhathi ivakashele wathi lekubelekele esibhedlela sase-RFM Kamanzini ikhusathe abatali ukuthi abagome abantu bababo.
Banengibomake bese kushoda into ekuhamba banengibomake laba labatawudzinga ukuthi babe setibhedlela tetfu lamhla sikhusathe lesisebente tempilo sibonge kulabo labasemsebentini labasinakela abantu abagulako labasemukelela tinswane lamuhla sililele labo kulabo make lapho ukhanze ukuthi bantfwana bayavela bantfwana abasaphili kanti phela bebete nabo bathi batahamba netinswane ekhaya lesiku lokunyeke lesiku lesikhutsatako esiveni ukuthi njengoba tinswane tivela nje noma ngabe utalelwe ekhaya batali bayati bakhona bacucuteli batali bayati ukuthi bantfwana afuna bagome kusukela lamhla bagoma iBCG bagomele nalokunye.
Batali labatfole tipho endvuneni Nkuzi babonga le tipho.
Siyabonga kakhulu ukuzivakashela kwakhe usiphile netipho nadi nje.
Ngiyabonga nje kuMinister Benedict Sitile wanginika ama-dispose.
Ngijabule kakhulu usho Minister usivakashele namuhla. Wangipha nasipho sami lale sihle kakhulu. Yes, siyabonga kakhulu. Akwenzela kathethe khona.
Ngesikhathi kuhlanganiswa lombiko litiko letempilo belisachubeka nekuhlanganisa inombolo tebantfwana labadelwe ngalolu suku lekucala leminyaka wa 2023 kanti inombolo eliphelele ukuthi kutolwe bangaki bantfwana litawutfolakala ngemsombuluko etindzabeni kubika Fortune Dlangamandla kunalinda Dlamini sikamanzini.
Masike litiko letempilo libesele yasetfumile lati inombolo letiphelele tebantfwana lababelekwe emhlalo lunye kulo mnyaka losetulu Mbabane Government Hospital sebabonke nje bantfwana lababelekwe mhla ka 1 January babe ngu14, RFM babe ngu9, eHlathukhulu Government Hospital babe ngu5, eMankayane babe ngu3, eGood Shepherd babe ngu12, ePixby Government Hospital khona babe ngu8 lokufaya ekhathi ema-twins enhlangano khona babe ngu4, eSithobela Health Center babe babili, eMathanjeni nakhona baba babili kanjalo nakadvokolwako nasemkhuzweni. Kanti-ke kuma-private hospitals Women and Children kanye nasezulwini kude bantfwana lababelekiwe kanjalo-ke naseMbabane Clinic Philani Medicine kanye nasemkhiwa bantfwana lababelekiwe nje in total mhla ka 1 January babe nge-64 64. Kutemidlalo Edson Arantes du Nascimento lowathuma kakhulu ngelaphele lowake wadlalela likhethelo laseBrazil kusuka ngeminyaka wa 1957 kuya ku 1971 ushiye emhlabeni ngalesihlanu evikini leliphelile lapho bekalaliswe isibhedlela sikhathi lesingaba inyanga letimbili nangemuva kokutfolakala anemdlavuza. Pele waqala ukudlalela likhethelo lakhona eBrazil aneminyaka eli-17 kanti wadlala emahlandla lango-92 washaya amagoli lango-77. Pele ngumdlali lokuphela kwakhe emlandweni kuphakamisa indebe yomhlaba emahlandla lamathathu iminyaka wa-1958, 1962 kanye nanga-1970. Pele eBrazil wadlalela iqembu leSantos wase uyodlalela iqembu leNew York Cosmos. Laba-ke badlala ezingeni lelisetulu lapha eveni lokufaka ekhathi Mbuso Banks Dlamini kanye nazwe Potsotso Khoza bathi Pele udlale inzima lenkhulu ekukhuthateni badlali hayi baseBrazil kuphela kodwa umhlaba wonke.
Inhlanhla yami ngeDlamini ngaleso sikhathi bengifunda eAmerica. Ake fika nje Pele ayodlalela iCosmos. I was in the States. So I'm one of the few eMaswati la hamba umbukela adlala ibhola. Bengifunda eOklahoma State University at the time. And Pele bekadlala eTexas, Dallas. So thina ama-African students libeka lapho. Savele sagadzata thatha imoto sawushona eDallas just to see Pele play. Salahleka but by half time bese singenile stadium. So I was able to see him play in real life. Ngithi ke because ubute kwekuthi impact yakhe ibe yini. Mina nje kunebadlali bala kangwane. Ngibabona ukuthi badlala njengaPele. Because what I saw there on the day is that he's very athletic. He's an athlete who plays football. Lakhaya nje, the nearest player to Pele Lakhaya, Msiza Dlamini. Caesar is an athlete who plays football. Skali is an athlete who plays football.
Kula nje sine ngifuna ube fit vele njengaPele. Konke lokumashibobo nani konke sikufunza kuye. Kusifuna konke sifuna kulingisa Pele. Sekufika ke lokho mavideo ma black and white insini lokho. Sibukela ke thine 1970 the Giants of Brazil. Bakhipha returning as a team. Thina mamasela all over the body phela. Labo Vava, bo Garincha, nabo Zagalo, bo Jazinho. Sikhula nje vele kule black and white sibukela tona. Lesikwakhona nje kusibeka ipeacemaker yena ngesikwakhe lesiba ngonje nale team kube khona ngabo Second World War kusibeka umewa lokuliwa. Naye akhuluma sakume batawulalela abantu. Utawulalela umhlaba vele. Njengobona nje manje asine holiday eBrazil. Kuyazilwa. Angathi iholiday yabo 7 days nenathi kangcono. Kumiwe vele amaflag andizela phansi.
Asike ngaleto temidlalo siyathi phetsati indzaba tethu lo mhlehlelionist abahloli temakethe sibuye sichubeke asinishine simo selitulo. Asimze sinemukele sakuvusela nawo losanza kusivulela lo mhla ehlelweni kungumsombuluko. It is the 2nd of January 2023 sitaqhubeka nalo hlelo ngebuka nje tangephandle kwakuleli sandlela le special report ngeluphenyo lelichubeka kweveni lase Ukraine kubuka nje kabanti impi lichubeka ke Ukraine kanye nase Russia.
Mr. Rosenbaum, you've been with Department of Justice for over 35 years, and for decades you were hunting down Nazis, as many media outlets said. What lessons you learned on investigating Nazi war crimes that might apply to your current work on investigating Russian war crimes in Ukraine?
The lessons that we learned from investigating and prosecuting World War II Nazi perpetrators who came to this country are numerous. World War II Nazi cases and these, fundamentally it's the same issue, wartime crimes and who perpetrated them and how do you prove it. A difference, an unhappy difference, shall we say, in the World War II cases, Nazi Germany was succeeded by a responsible German government that has prosecuted its own people for participation in Nazi crimes. As you might imagine, there's no expectation of getting cooperation from the Russian Federation authorities anytime soon. In this instance, the war is, of course, still on. The tragedy continues. The crimes are still being committed. And that makes these cases, certainly for me and most of my colleagues, I would say, the most urgent ones that we've ever encountered, because the crimes are still being perpetrated and there is a heightened need to send the message out to would-be perpetrators that the United States is partnered with the government of Ukraine, with the Ukrainian Prosecutor General's office in particular, with the National Police of Ukraine, and with authorities all over Europe to investigate and prosecute these cases. So if you dare execute, say, a criminal order, you will never, ever be able to be confident that you've gotten away with it. You will have to look over your shoulder for the rest of your life into old age, just the way Nazi perpetrators have had to do.
As someone who investigated multiple Nazi war crimes and now is looking into cases of Russian war crimes in Ukraine, what would you say to Putin's message about denazifying Ukraine?
After actually 37 or so years investigating and prosecuting World War II Nazi cases, I think I can say that I know a Nazi when I see one. The Ukrainian government is not a Nazi government. Two countries in living memory have invaded Ukraine without provocation: Nazi Germany and the Russian Federation. So who's channeling the Hitler regime? It's not the government in Kyiv.
Russian forces committed multiple crimes in Ukraine, and many of them are very well documented, many of them documented in live mode, such as bombing of houses, crushed theater in Mariupol, extrajudicial killings, executions, including prisoners of war. Could you shed light on the current cooperation with Ukrainian authorities and International Criminal Court investigators on investigating those crimes?
Sure, there are probably two aspects that I should focus on. One is enforcement of our own laws here, and that too has, you could argue, two components. One is the task force kleptocapture, which Attorney General Merrick Garland announced in March, which is pursuing, among others, the facilitators of aggression by the Russian Federation. Most of your viewers have probably seen the news photos of super yachts that our government has confiscated from oligarchs who are supporting the Putin government. And then there are also our own investigations of war crimes. That effort is led by my colleague here, Christian Levesque, who is lead prosecutor for the Ukraine cases. There is the International Criminal Investigative Training Assistance Program, ISATAP, that works very closely with the National Police of Ukraine. They've done that for years. They are now pivoting to support war crimes investigations in the field, so to speak. There is forensic support. There is all kinds of technical support, including IT support, and some things I can't go into. But it's a very, very close relationship. And we actually met with the Office of the Prosecutor General of Ukraine just yesterday. So we're very busy in that cooperative effort.
And in terms of the U.S. investigations and prosecutions, you mentioned that really on almost a daily basis, we're all bombarded with stories of atrocities that are occurring in Ukraine. It's the job of prosecutors and investigators to work together, both domestically but also with our international counterparts, to sift through that information, to methodically assess it. We are trying to do this in another country during a time when there's an active armed conflict. But we're doing all of those things collectively.
I understand that it's difficult to talk about the ongoing investigation, but could you tell the common details on what cases you are investigating?
So unfortunately, I can't talk about specific investigations. What I can say, as the Attorney General has also stated publicly, is that where the U.S. has jurisdiction under our War Crimes Act, that is, when a U.S. Citizen is a victim or a perpetrator of a war crime, it is our duty, as well as our, to exercise our due diligence and to investigate those circumstances to determine whether a war crime that is actionable under our statute has occurred. The reason that we don't speak publicly about investigations is because this is really a central tenet of that concept of the rule of law, which is that we are going through our processes without interruption, without bias, and without outside influence. And in order to do that, that means that we conduct our investigations in a manner that is not public.
And more on cooperation, there are a lot of international bodies that you already mentioned. There are a lot of organizations that are tracking down war crimes that are committed in Ukraine, and UN Human Rights Council established independent commission of inquiry. Given the massive scale of crimes being committed in Ukraine right now, what do you think would be the best forum for prosecutions?
So I think that there is no one answer in terms of what is the best forum for prosecutions. And that's one of the things also that is particularly remarkable about what we are seeing right now in Ukraine and in this time and place, which is Ukraine itself, as a national authority, has a well-functioning legal system with capacity and ability to actually investigate the crimes that are occurring on their soil. And so it is a very important part of accountability measures that they continue to do so. It's also a responsibility of the international community, and that is other national authorities, the United States, and international organizations to assist and support in that process, and also to play their own role. And one of the roles that we're playing in the United States is when we have U.S. jurisdiction, we are also doing our own investigations.
Mr. Rosenbaum, you mentioned meeting with Ukrainian authorities, mentioned meeting with Ukrainian Prosecutor General. Could you tell us if you heard about any special request where United States help might be needed, when United States assistance might be needed in investigating of Russian war crimes committed in Ukraine?
We've received requests, and we always assess those and act on them as appropriate. I really can't go into the specifics. And as I say, we have propounded our own investigative requests because our investigations are well underway. One of the remarkable experiences that we've had in this work, Ms. Levesque and I, we were in The Hague in July for the Ukraine Accountability Ministerial Conference. And 45 nations all meeting in pursuit of the same goal, holding accountable the perpetrators of war crimes and other grave offenses committed in Ukraine since the commencement of Russia's unprovoked invasion. In my lifetime, and I've been on this planet quite a while now, there's nothing to compare with that. 45 nations coming together for that singular goal. Our Attorney General has said that the Department of Justice will leave no stone unturned in our efforts to pursue accountability. He's also said we'll be relentless. We take that charge very seriously. We are relentless, and we will be relentless, however long it takes.
You mentioned yourself that there is massive evidence and massive proof of war crimes committed in Ukraine, and that is very different from your work on investigating and looking into Nazi war crimes, where there might be not so much proof and records available online. You've seen footage from Olenivka, barbaric videos of torturing and killing prisoners of war, including putting parts of the body of Ukrainian prisoner of war on the fence in Popasna. The amount of visual proof is sometimes overwhelming, and including from accounts of Russian soldiers themselves in social media. Is that helping investigation?
All of these kinds of images and intercepted communications can be important evidence. Again, this is the kind of evidence that usually one didn't have in the World War II Nazi cases. But sometimes, you know, you don't need all that much evidence. I have in mind the last World War II Nazi case that we won only 2 years ago. The defendant was in his 90s. And that case began with a waterlogged SS personnel card pulled from Lübeck Bay, Germany in 1950. It was only partially legible, but it had our man's name on it. And he worked as a guard at a concentration camp from which virtually no records survived. But we have the talent, the experience to build cases from a very small sample of evidence, and we're deploying those skills in partnership with the FBI, Homeland Security Investigations in the Department of Homeland Security, lots of components of the Justice Department, and of course we work alongside the Department of State.
Mr. Levack, back to you. It's understandable that you can't provide any further details on the ongoing investigations, but who are the perpetrators whose war crimes you are investigating? Is it soldiers, commanders, militias? Who are the war criminals, their general portrait?
So when we're looking at our investigations, we don't necessarily have one category of a perpetrator, right? We're looking at the conduct, and whoever it is that committed or potentially committed that conduct, again, if it falls within our war crime statute, is a potential target of an investigation. So that includes people that are sort of the so-called trigger pullers, right? People who were actually firing the shots that killed a victim if the circumstances otherwise suggest it is a war crime. It also includes commanders who are at a mid-level as well as upper commanders, and so upper-level commanders.
And could you walk us through the process of identifying whether one or another crime committed in Ukraine is a war crime or crime against humanity?
Sure. So we would start first with looking at whether we have jurisdiction, and as I've already mentioned, it's fairly limited. Then we would start to look at the circumstances, right? In this case, we know that there is an armed conflict and an international armed conflict that's occurring in Ukraine. Then we would look at what is the nature of the actual conduct, and does it fit within our statute? Does it appear to be an intentional killing of a civilian who is not participating in hostilities? Does it appear to be the intentional infliction of unnecessary suffering on a person who is protected? Does it appear to be an unlawful confinement of a protected person? Or does it fall in some other way within our war crime statute? So we literally take out our statute book, we look at it, we look at what the conduct is and the facts and the allegations and see if we have a match.
What about the President of Russia, Vladimir Putin? According to, again, this doctrine of superior responsibility, shouldn't he be the one who is responsible for the war crimes committed by Russian soldiers in Ukraine? One of the US senators and some European leaders said that Putin should get Slobodan Milosevic treatment, and President Biden called Vladimir Putin himself as a war criminal. With the evidence that links Putin directly to the war crimes that are committed in Ukraine, and as Nuremberg trial authors once said, initial and fundamental supreme crime, the crime of actually planning an attack and aggression on a sovereign state. Shouldn't be there a tribunal for Putin, the one that Milosevic had, Nuremberg format, for instance?
So we're the Department of Justice in the United States, and we don't generally accuse people except through our own legal process, right? In indictments, in court, and the like, unless we're part of some international tribunal. So I'll have to leave those characterizations to the president and others. But it is good that you mentioned Slobodan Milosevic. I would add the former East German leader, Erich Honecker, to the panoply of foreign leaders who never imagined that law would catch up with them. Sometimes it does.
When you were in Ukraine, together with the Attorney General Garland, he said there is no hiding place for war criminals. With the number of war crimes that are committed in Ukraine, prosecution of war criminals will take probably years or tens of years. Do you expect a lot of countries to be ready to cooperate and extradite Russian war criminals?
When I was with the Attorney General on June 21 in Ukraine, I want to say first that it was very sad to be there because of what's going on, but it was also very inspiring to see the courage and the determination of our Ukrainian colleagues to pursue justice and to fight for the integrity, the territorial integrity of their country. One of the prosecutors was actually in his military fatigues. As the Attorney General, I think, accurately said, there will be no hiding place for criminals, and the fact that we got 45 nations to, in effect, agree on that concept at The Hague in mid-July, I think exemplifies that reality. It may indeed take years or tens of years for comprehensive justice to be obtained, but I do believe it will be.
Mr. Rosenbaum, you mentioned yourself that there is a difference between post-war Germany and Russia, that Russia will not be probably willing to cooperate unless there is a change of government. Is there a procedure to deliver justice for the victims of war crimes of Russian soldiers in case if they are not leaving the country, in case if there is no extradition without cooperation of Russian authorities?
Well, most likely this is going to have to be accomplished without cooperation from Russian authorities unless, as you say, there is a change of government and a change of attitude. And who knows what the future holds. There are various mechanisms, including, frankly, civil liability, that will help secure some measure of justice even outside the criminal justice system. And it's going to be a lot of different courts in many different countries and a lot of different organizations, governmental, intergovernmental, and non-governmental, that will all be working together, are already working together to pursue justice on behalf of victims, and that includes providing services to surviving victims who are dealing with physical and psychological impacts of what they've experienced.
You discussed the Department of Justice work on holding accountable the perpetrators of war crimes in Ukraine. Is the agency work dependent somehow on any of American parties' support? Ukraine has bipartisan support in the United States, but do you envision any changes in DOJ's work in case if there will be changes in the Congress or administration?
If I use the World War II Nazi cases as an example or as my measuring basis, our experience was that the commitment to pursuing justice in those cases did not vary by which party was in power in the United States. Ukraine has strong bipartisan support. It has support throughout this country in all 50 states and the territories. And it's really unimaginable that a different administration would not be devoted to pursuing accountability as is obviously needed.
Oh, thank you so much for the interview and the
thank
great
you for what
responses.
you're doing.
Why should we pay our TV license? The content on our local television is actually more up to date. The industry is enhanced.
It is a criminal offense not to pay your TV license and attracts a fine of 500 emalangeni or 6 months imprisonment.
And the industry is definitely blooming, ladies and gentlemen. So that's what we have for you. But we'll be right back just after the break, and we'll give you more of Miss V.
I pay my TV license. That's why I can enjoy the benefits of an enhanced industry and keep track with recent transformation.
Mommy, who pays for a TV license and what are they paying for?
The owners of TV set and gadget with a tuner like DVD set.
TV license at NetBank with the details provided on screen. Or use your cell phone via the mobile money pay. You could also visit your nearest post office and pay there. Pay your TV license via Eswatini Mobile Imali. Any TV device retailer can purchase a license to trade. Pay your TV license and enhance.
Welcome back. Selenje imizuzu lemibili sishaya insimbi esiphohlongo lomhla esi-10 bangakhulu ukuthi ube nathi lamhla hlelweni sisaqala wona nje umnyaka lomusha wa-2023 sethemba ukuthi indaba nelisuku loluhle sanibona kusasa ngensimbi yesikhombisa nisale kahle.